About 4, maybe 5 years ago, Matthew William Kite the First posted a video to this very channel entitled Matt's Pedalboard. And this video is an absolutely obscene yet strangely respectable 25 minutes in length. So, this is my latent revenge. I guess he didn't really wrong me, so maybe revenge isn't the right. I'm one-upping him, maybe. I'm gonna go for this video being at least 26 minutes long. So basically, yeah. And this seemed like the perfect time to do it because the kit is actually mic'd up, so it won't sound like shit. Anyways, yeah, so, where do I start? I gotta start somewhere meaningless. The carpet! No one cares about that. Although it does have kind of a fun story behind it, which is just that it's really old. I think this has literally been my drum carpet since I was like 4 or 5 years old or younger. I don't know. I don't know how old it is. It's not an actual, like, drum carpet. It just has the right texture, you know, so you don't have to put, like, weights in front of your kick drum legs or anything, you know, sad like that. I do have a weight holding my snare stand in place, but okay, maybe it's not the perfect texture, but look, things move when you hit them as hard as you possibly can. That's not accurate. Anyhow, we got some beautiful lights and some beautiful black curtains, and just out of view is some serious mayhem. Who got a water bottle? We got mic things. Should I talk about the mics at all? It's not really what this video is about. My pedal board is the drum kit, so I guess we'll start on the actual... No, you know what? I'm gonna keep wasting time because I've had a couple other ideas. We have the broken cymbal vault. We have this 3/4 of a dual crash. We have a really trashed Byzance dark crash. I don't even know. I guess, yeah, that must just be a classic custom dark crash. And then a medium crash from classic custom. And then we have some Zildjian ZBT hi-hats. They're only about 20 years old. They only have cracks in the top and bottom. Enjoy that. There's more cymbals in the bag and behind the bag, but I won't get... Yes, the bag says Zildjian, and yes, we play Meinl around here, but look, it's a tribute to these. How sad is that? That's not really why, but it was just, you know, affordable. We got this beautiful pedal case here that came with, would you guess it, a pedal at some point. But yeah, we got more microphones. We got a fan to keep me cool, which is very important. Stick bag. Yeah, let's actually start with sticks. No one starts with talking about sticks. Vater 5Bs, very, very basic, just normal 5Bs, because I'm not really picky when it comes to sticks. I always imagine what I would do if I was famous one day and, like, Vic Firth was like, hey, you want a signature stick? I would just be like, I don't know. No, actually, no, I don't care. But I go with Vater, partially because they are just straight up the cheapest of the big name brands, but also because... I just like the way they feel. They're a little denser, they run a little heavy, and that works for me. Some people hate it, and you know what? I can understand that, but for whatever reason, I like it. I guess I just want my wrists to suffer. We got some heads happening. We got a little certificate thing from mycymbal.com. Beautiful. I don't know why that's there. We have the 10-inch tom from the actual drum kit in here, and we are recording this whole thing, obviously. Why would I point that out? You're literally watching it. Anyway, let's start with let's move out front. It's time for I almost tripped on the headphone cord. It's time for the actual drum set. So this is, you know, the meat and potatoes, the bread and butter. Why is it always food metaphors? Of the whole setup. And you can't see the color very well because of this blue light, but if I turn off the blue light, you can see that the kit itself is in fact also blue. Specifically, I think it has a fancy, stupid name. I think it's Twilight Blue Burst. That's probably correct. This is a Tama Star Classic Performer Birch Bubinga. I don't think they make these anymore because I don't think they're allowed to use Bubinga wood anymore because it's a protected species of tree, which is a shame, but not for the trees. They're probably happy about it. Very, very happy to have this kit. It's, I mean, it is called a Star Classic Performer. It's kind of marketed more as a live kit, but it works for everything. It's just really punchy and clear. The birch gives you that kind of scooped, pre-EQ'd, punchy sound that's kind of Birch's whole thing. And the Bubinga is kind of like a more focused mahogany in a way, because it brings in the low end, but it's not as rumbly as mahogany. It's a little bit comparable to oak, although I don't think it's as insanely loud as oak can be, nor is it as impractically heavy as oak is. Ooh, is that the metal is like touching the... How did I manage that? Is that... Yeah, it's kind of can clack. Whatever. I just put my fingerprints over. I just cleaned all this hardware not long ago. I mean, clean. Like, I don't polish it or anything, but occasionally I just wipe it down because, you know, the fingerprints and the dust just start to look gross. But anyway, yeah, this is a fantastic kit that I've had for a few years now, replacing my only other proper drum kit I've ever owned, which was my old Pearl Vision kit. And, yeah, it's just fantastic. I mean, I still struggle and scream in anguish every time I have to tune the 12-inch tom, but that's just 12-inch toms. Look, okay? That's just how they are. I'm very much of the Orlando drummer persuasion when it comes to 12-inch toms. If you know that guy's opinion on them, I'm the same way. But I have the 12 out just because I wanted... Normally, when I only have one rack tom, I do the 10, but I wanted to be different and special. And yeah, so sizes 12 by 9... 16 by 14 rather than like a box size, which I like the 16 by 14. It's just a little bit more controlled. And then I think this is a 22 by 16. I'm pretty sure. It looks like, because my old kit was a 22 by 18, which is the more standard rock depth, but this looks a little shallower, and I remember it being listed as 16. I could be wrong, though. I'll put up like a thing on the screen if I'm wrong. Got a Sweetwater sticker because you have to represent, you know, your simpery. Let's see, hardware is a complete mismatch, just as long as we're kind of talking about hardware a little bit. There's like a Pearl stand, a Dixon stand, a bunch of them are super old and beat up. That's just kind of how it is. The only remotely piece of nice hardware is just the one piece of hardware no drummer can escape investing in, which is the pedal, obviously, which is an Iron Cobra, which is not like a super fast, highly engineered, spiffy, trendy hipster pedal. It's just, you know, like a really solid pedal. Like, it won't fall apart under your foot. That's really all I ask. And it's great. I actually haven't had it for that long because I had, oh my god, my only previous kick drum pedal before this one was like I kid you not, like a $50 at maximum Pearl pedal that I had since childhood, like early childhood. And it had like rusted chains on it and everything. And, yeah, so I finally bought myself, like, a not embarrassing kick drum pedal. It doesn't have... This is the beater it comes with, and I hate it, because it just destroys the kick drum head. Even with a Power Stroke 3 on there, it's just so violent and hard, just like me. And... what is wrong with... yeah, so I think that's a D-dub beater on there. Which is just like a more standard, normal beater. I don't know why Tama includes such a highly engineered, weirdly shaped beater. We got this old PDP hi-hat stand with like a broken clutch that I've just been nursing along for ages. Literally one of the only other pieces of hardware I bought recently are just wing nuts, because all the wing nuts to these stands, the original ones, were like all stripped and not working. So I just had to buy just wing nuts. Anyway, heads, while we're talking about drums. I'm a Remo guy. Personally, I find that Aquarian and Evans are very, very well engineered. They have a more kind of controlled, more specific kind of sound from head to head, and that definitely could make things easier, but I go with Remo because I feel like Remo cheats the least in terms of what it does to your tone. I don't know. This might just be completely psychological. I've also literally always been playing Remo from the beginning, pretty much. I've experimented very little, so I'm coming from a place of absurd bias. But yeah, I feel like Remo is kind of the most natural sounding. It just brings out the tone of the drums without like over-engineering things too much. All vintage Emperors on the top. A coated ambassador on the bottom of him, because just having the double coated makes that thing a little easier to tune. Clear ambassador on the bottom of this for a little bit more open sound, hazy snare side. Clear Power Stroke 3 on the Vater and on the Rezo. And the Rezo is a you can kind of barely tell. There you can see it. It's actually a blue color tone Power Stroke 3 to go with the blue kit and the blue light. I don't know why. I guess the kit started it, but now just everything's blue, and that's just how it is. You're gonna have to deal with it emotionally. Gosh, okay, we're only 10 minutes in. I really haven't wasted enough of your time yet, but I guess I'm too good at making videos. Anyway, I guess, oh, well, we were talking about drums. Let's actually hit some drums. So here's how the kick drum sounds. Just, again, this is a very punchy, very rock-centric kit. I think it's still quite versatile, but especially with the clear Power Stroke 3, the kick drum is just a monster. There you go. This guy's probably pretty out of tune after an entire day of recording, but here's the 12x9 rack tom, 12x9 inches, not feet. I know it looks large, but what am I talking about? And yeah, he is pretty disgustingly out of tune after a whole day of recording, but you get the idea. Still sounds pretty good. The attack and the natural kind of punch and focus of these drums is so good that, like, they can be a little bit out of tune, and I don't even really care. While you're playing, you don't even really notice. And then the 16x14, man, with the Bubinga, just the low-end rumble you get out of this is ridiculous. And I'm actually tuning this guy a little higher right now than I normally do. This one I keep super low and dead, very Jay Postones of me. I love it. And then the snare, let me use my left hand because that's my snaring hand. Not that my right hand is incapable of... Okay. Oh, yeah, Jesus, we didn't even talk about the snare. So this is a 13x7, which is a tremendously cool size of snare. A 13x7 pork pie USA maple snare with a veneer of some rosewood and a strip of zebra wood, which makes it look fancy. But it's just maple, and it's a fairly thin shell, so it's just a classic, warm, open, cracky, woody-sounding snare. The 13 gives it kind of some focus, although to be honest, this snare has crazy overtones, which is why you could see there are multiple moon gels, another one under there, and a wallet with some random hardware in it. Because this snare is live and loud and easily gets out of control. But that's why I love it. I'd rather that be the starting point than having a really dull snare that you can never get to that point if you wanted it to sound super crazy. And yeah, and just the depth, you know, because a 13 would normally be a little bit on the weaker, quieter side, I guess, theoretically, at least the thinner sounding side. But the depth, not only is it physically thick, it's sonically thick. It has serious beef to it, and it's tuned just kind of mid-range right now. It's not your time yet, hi-hats. Just fantastic, and then of course, with the snares on. I keep the snares kind of loose. I mean, I don't always, but I often come back to a slightly looser tension on the strainer, which is a little bit of a Benny Greb tip, I think, to from what I remember, to get like a more open snare sound. It's also something I've kind of noticed Gavin Harrison doing. Not necessarily keeping them looser, but I know like Gavin's signature snares come with these sort of cut down, more minimal snare wires to keep extra buzz out of the way. And I kind of like having it less tight because it does make it a little more open, but it's still super sensitive. Like this, you don't have to have the wires very tight on this to get it very sensitive. Like, I mean, I bet I can just drop the stick. Yeah, I mean, that can't complain. And, of course... God damn, man. All right, so we've heard the drums now. I could get out the 10, but who am I kidding? No, I couldn't. It's in a bag. It's got a bunch of old, beat-up heads on it. No, we can't do that today. There's some random stuff on this shelf, though. That's kind of fun. There's an 8-inch tom from the old Vision kit on top of a Pearl, what is that called? The short fuse? The little, like, 10x3 or 10x2? No, it's like a 10x3 poplar snare. There's a tambourine. There's a computer. There's some chimes. There's another random kick drum beater if you want one of them. There's a 14-inch snare wire that I'm not going to use because literally the only snares I own, the only snares in my house are 13 inches and 10 inches respectively. Man, I've been playing this for so long, I can't imagine going back to a 14. It would just feel so weird and huge. Anyway, I think it's time for Cymbals. I've been avoiding it. Because I want to make sure it's kind of the grand finale of the video and I don't forget anything else. I guess I could go through some of the stuff in my stick bag. I think this is all, yep, this is these things. These things break at the worst times. Like, so these are for holding your snares on, if you didn't know. And these are like, they break just seldom enough that you build up a false sense of security that they won't break, but just often enough to screw you over occasionally. So I have just an entire pocket of those. And then, is this all cymbal felts over here? Oh, there's like a drum key and some stuff in there too, I think. But yeah, it is a bunch of cymbal felts. I think it's cymbal time. So, I discovered Meinl cymbals. Well, technically when I was a kid, I owned a little HCS Meinl brass splash cymbal that sounded like ass. Anyhow, that was technically my introduction, but my more proper introduction was probably around 2014 or 15. I really got obsessed with the playing of Matt Garska, Chris Coleman, Benny Greb, Annika Niles, JP Beauvais, just like so many people who happened to use Meinl. And as a kid, I had never really considered them like a top-tier cymbal brand because I just didn't know better. Like, you just don't see them quite as often, especially back in the like earlier aughts. They hadn't kind of become as big as they are now. And I remember just when I started hearing the Byzance cymbals and like the extra dry cymbals and stuff, I was just like, oh, this is like just the best thing ever. Like, it has like the scratchy, trashy, like vintagey character of like Istanbul, but with like more beef to it, like a Sabian or something. I don't know. That's a horrible comparison. The point is, they're great, and none of the other none of the other cymbal companies really sound like Meinl. And I mean, that's technically true of all of them. They all have their own unique sound, and they all make great cymbals if you can pay for them. But Meinl is just they're the most dynamic, kind of richest sounding cymbals I've played in person, and I love them. And my first more proper Meinl cymbal was this right here, the 21-inch Mike Johnston Signature Transition Ride. A very beloved and popular ride for sure, and for good reason. It's somewhere between a jazz ride and a do-it-all ride. Like, it kind of sits in that zone. Mike Johnston specifically engineered it because he wanted kind of an extra dry ride, but with wash and more crashability. And that's just exactly what it is. Like, just perfect success. That's precisely what this cymbal does. So you get that kind of nice extra dry raw finish, just like metallic ting. It's not a pingy ride. It's a tingy ride. It has a very distinctive, nice stick attack to it. The bell sounds beautiful. It's a very integrated bell, meaning that when you hit it, the entire cymbal starts washing out. So it's not the clearest bell, but it just has a beautiful, very clangy sound for how washy it is. And this cymbal, so it's raw finish on the top, and then it's polished and lathed on the bottom, but with a raw bell on the bottom. And oh, the recording's about to automatically end. We're back with a fresh battery and a new recording. To continue the story on this ride, I don't want to belabor it too much, but yeah, I was probably around 15 years old, and I was just looking for a perfect ride cymbal because I was getting obsessed with these darker, jazzier cymbals, but I wanted one that could still work in TWBA and just work as a rock thing. And especially, like, you throw a gel on this, and all of a sudden you have just a really nice, dry ride that's surprisingly loud and very clear, and without the gel you get the nice shimmery wash. And I'll just let you now, because it's missing a little pizza slice out of it, I've got the sizzler on it, which just slots nicely into the damage zone, and there is a crack in the bell as well, because I mean, this has survived about 10 years of gigging now, which is insane to say and realize, but it's true. Hey, that's Demon Dad's pumpkin suit. Fun Easter egg. Enjoy that. Anyhow, enjoy this ride cymbal too. It's very chokeable. It's got a nice control to the wash and the decay as well. Like, if you're really like crashing on it and getting a lot of the wash out of there, and then you want to go back to just riding on it. It doesn't, like, the wash doesn't stick around for too long. But anyway, yeah, I think it just sounds beautiful. It's dark, but again, it's a tingy sounding ride as opposed to a pingy sounding ride. And pingy definitely describes this guy a bit better. So this is a relatively new addition to the setup, because after this guy had just... I've been chasing the crack on this edge of the cymbal for so long, and I was like, all right, we'll continue to use you as the secondary, like, you know, vibey, interlude bridge section, jazzy, weird ride, but we need a new just main ride, because I don't want to keep chasing that crack until there's no cymbal left. So this is the 20-inch Benny Greb signature Sand Ride, another really iconic, popular cymbal from Meinl, and one that I really, really love. It's totally different than this. It's all mids. This is like top end and bottom end kind of scooped, and this is all mids. It's just super warm and round sounding. So as you can see, it's lathed with a raw bell, and then the entire top is sandblasted. And then the bottom, if I can get back there, you can kind of see raw bell, raw along the edge, and then there's a strip of lathing and polish in the middle. So it's got a lot of different finishes going on, not unlike that cymbal, and it just allows for a lot of complexity and nuance. It's definitely less washy and more pingy sounding, but still nice and dark and nice and vintagey and jazzy, and I think debatably even more versatile than the Transition Ride, honestly. It's really, really impressed me. I think I subjectively still like the Transition Ride better, and also I'm biased just because it was like my first Meinl cymbal that I ever got, but I absolutely love this one. I'm going to put in my ear protection so I can go cray-cray on the bell, because this thing sounds wondrous. Oh, and it has so much sustain. That one is so hard to choke. It's the hardest cymbal to choke on the setup, and I keep learning this lesson over and over again. Anyhow, yeah, so definitely less washy, less tingy and more pingy, less crashable than that one for sure, a little bit heavier. It's cool though, because it has the lathing on the bottom in the middle, it kind of thins out the middle section, but because it's raw under here on the edge, it keeps the edge a little bit heavier, which makes it weirdly wobbly for how heavy it is, which I love because it's just fun to watch wobbly cymbals. So like, I don't know if you could see, but like when you really get going on it. You can see there's like a surprising amount of vibration around the edge of the cymbal, which is just fun because it's ostensibly like about a medium weight ride, supposedly. Next, we have the best crash in the world. This is the 19-inch extra thin hammered crash. Mike Johnston famously dubbed the 20-inch version Thunder Butter. So this is Thunder Butter the second, the small. Thunder Butter the small. I don't know. 19 isn't that small, but I like big crashes. I mean, my other quote-unquote crash on my setup is a 21-inch ride, so you could guess that. This cymbal is amazing. There are so many good crashes from Meinl. If you want dark and trashy, you have the extra dry thin crash and the dark crash and like the vintage crash, the dual crash, which you saw a trashed one earlier of that. And if you want just a great normal sounding, more rock friendly crash, you have the polyphonics and just the traditional and brilliant crashes. This is part of the traditional series, but because it's extra thin and it has the deep hammering, it has a little bit of that trash. So you get a fairly normal, fairly classic sounding crash cymbal, but with crazy low pitch. It's ridiculously dark. And just a little bit of trashiness to it. So it's just kind of the perfect happy medium, and the 19 is like the perfect, you know, you're always struggling, if you're me, you're always struggling to go like, is an 18-inch or a 20-inch crash better? And now we have cymbals in odd sizes. I guess that's been a thing for a long time. I don't know why I said now, but it's a wondrous achievement of mankind. Anyway, so this one is just beautiful, and I'll let you listen to it now. Again, just crazy low pitch and super dark, but super explosive. In fact, before I hit it with the stick, listen to how easily this cymbal, with how thin it is, opens up just with a finger. Oh, the wing nut's rattling. Yay. Oh my gosh, that is gorgeous. And with a stick. And apparently it wasn't the wing nut sizzling. There's just something in this stand that's like loose or something. It's not a crack. I know it's not a crack. I check this cymbal regularly, and I'm very gentle with it. Although it can take a beating because it is super thin and flexible, and it's not gonna like, you know, crack super easily. But yeah, that's one reason to like thin cymbals is the counterintuitive durability you get out of them, but also just like the sensitivity of being able to open up and explode that easily. That is just nuts. So anyhow, yeah, that's my favorite crash in the world. Enjoy that. We have what used to be my main hi-hats. These are the Classics Custom Dark Hats, 14-inch. Oh, goodness gracious, look at that beautiful angle on them cymbals. I got a little ching ring on there. These are good cymbals, especially for the money. Like, it's just a good deal for these hi-hats, honestly. But they're not my favorites. They're on the heavier side. They're on the counterintuitively, given that they're called dark hats, they're on the brighter side. But that's the case with most of the Classics Custom stuff. It is B12 bronze as opposed to B20, so it's going to be a little bit on the shriller side. But especially as just a pair of X hats on the right side of the kit, they're great for just really staccato, really clear, aggressive kind of accents. And we're getting some sympathetic ring from the ride. Yay. Hardware is fun. And then finally we have the latest addition to the setup. The latest thing I have spent inordinate amounts of cash on. The Benny Greb Signature 14-inch sand hi-hats. The top is raw with sandblasting. The bottom is lathed with sandblasting, fun, cool. And the insides of the cymbals are just traditional cymbal finish with lathing, nice and shiny. And the bottom cymbal is way thicker than the top cymbal. I mean, yes, that is normal for hi-hats in general, but the disparity in weight is beyond average with this pair. The top is super thin and flexible, and the bottom is really bright and thick. And, oh my gosh, man. I mean, just for comparison with a cheaper, but still solid pair of hi-hats, like listen to these again, just for, you know, if we're A-Bing. Compared to these things. There's a little bit of trash. There's a great contrast of the darker top cymbal with the bottom cymbal, and just like, oh man, these sound beautiful. I love them. Absolutely glorious. Just like again, a lot like the Crash over here. They're good compromise because Meinl makes some crazy dark, dirty hi-hats and also some nice, more standard, brighter hi-hats. And talk about meeting in the middle, man. I can't think of a thing that these wouldn't work for. Like, genuinely. I know that's a very cliche thing to say about a piece of gear. Oh, it's so versatile. It works for every genre. But like, genuinely, like, besides just crazy heavy metal, where you need like the brightest hi-hats on planet Earth, I don't know what these wouldn't be good for. They're just gorgeous. Anyhow, I think that concludes the video. Because I started a second recording, I don't actually know if I beat the length of Demon Dad's video, but I think I did. Oh, I called him Demon Dad. That's a reference to a whole other channel, a whole bunch of lore that no one here knows. Anyway, I think I beat Matt Kite's video. Yeah, in fact, I must have, just remembering because I think the recording auto stops around 18 minutes, and we're around 12 minutes on the second one, so I think I've succeeded in my goal of boring all of you. But thank you very much for sitting through all of this, if for some unholy reason you did so, and I'll see you, who knows when do I ever make videos for this channel?
is equal parts success and struggle, just like life.